Today is Monday, September 15th. We're talking about the person now in custody for killing Charlie Kirk and the clues authorities are following as they try to figure out a motive. Also, forget Chicago, President Trump has another city in mind for the next phase of his crime crackdown. Plus, why many Americans have already started their holiday shopping, how Pope Leo celebrated his birthday at the Vatican, and who were the biggest winners at last night's Emmy Awards. Those stories and even more news to know coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. A suspect has been arrested for killing conservative activist Charlie Kirk. He's a 22-year-old from Utah who, as of this morning, has not confessed and is apparently not cooperating with investigators. Relatives and a family friend reported the suspect to authorities, saying he implicated himself in the crime. Utah's governor, Spencer Cox, says the suspect lived with a romantic partner who was going through a gender transition. But at this point, it's not clear if Charlie Kirk's views on transgender identity had anything to do with a motive. Kirk had been vocal about his belief that being trans is a, quote, abomination of God, and criticized the U.S. government for adding protections for transgender people. Governor Cox says the suspect's partner was shocked at the news and is now cooperating with investigators. Investigators are also looking into messages inscribed on some of the suspect's bullet casings. They include possible references to politics, gaming, and online culture. The suspected shooter grew up in a conservative Republican home, but public records show he is registered as being unaffiliated with any political party, and he's never actually voted in an election. Governor Cox told reporters, quote, there was clearly a leftist ideology, without providing further details. But he and authorities still say the motive is unclear. The U.S. Justice Department is expected to file more charges against the suspect soon. Either way, he could end up facing the death penalty. In the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder, the White House is looking to boost security. The Trump administration asked Congress to approve another $58 million to better protect the White House and Supreme Court justices. Reports say President Trump supports spending more to protect members of Congress, too, but he's leaving that up to them. Already, lawmakers have beefed up their personal security, moved events indoors, or canceled them altogether. Of course, Kirk's death was just the latest in a series of violent incidents and threats against public figures. Now, both Democrats and Republicans are calling for unity and civility. Several have also called for action to rein in extremism online. And many college chapters of the Democratic and Republican parties issued joint statements calling for nonviolence. But while some believe this could be a turning point in a moment of political division, others think things could get worse. Over the weekend, billionaire Elon Musk spoke to one of Britain's largest far-right rallies in decades that was held in honor of Charlie Kirk. Musk addressed more than 100,000 people, saying, quote, whether you choose violence or not, violence is coming to you. Though several British political leaders condemned his comments, calling them inappropriate, with some accusing him of stoking more division. By the end of the day, there were violent clashes with police and dozens of arrests. Elsewhere, vigils honoring Kirk have been drawing large crowds all around the world, and most have been peaceful. Kirk's wife also spoke publicly for the first time over the weekend, saying in part, quote, you, all of you, will never, ever forget my husband, Charlie Kirk. I'll make sure of it. Next week, a memorial service is planned at State Farm Stadium, the home of the Arizona Cardinals. Tens of thousands of people are expected to attend. Israeli forces are stepping up their attacks on Gaza City. Palestinian officials say at least 30 residential buildings have been destroyed so far, and thousands of people have been forced from their homes. Israel says it plans to seize the city, where about 1 million Palestinians have been sheltering. Israel gave notices to evacuate, saying civilians are not the target, Hamas terrorists are. But many Palestinians say there aren't many places they can go. Hamas has called on people to stay. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is now in Israel to talk about the war in Gaza. Separately, Qatar is holding an emergency Arab Islamic summit today, where leaders will talk about Israel's attack on the Qatari capital last week that targeted senior Hamas officials. But analysts say any kind of military response is unlikely. To be continued. Romania became the second NATO member in just a matter of days to report a Russian drone in its airspace. It was detected near the country's border with Ukraine, but Ukrainian officials doubt it could have been a mistake. And the European Union has called it yet another unacceptable breach. As of this morning, Russia hasn't said one way or another. Remember, just last week, Poland said it shot down Russian drones over its country, too. Since then, NATO strengthened its air defense and boosted military activity along its eastern flank. It's working with support from France, Germany, the UK, and Denmark. President Trump also weighed in, saying he was ready to punish Russia with tougher sanctions. But he says he'll only do so if other NATO countries meet certain conditions, like no more buying Russian oil and higher tariffs on China. So far, no formal comment from NATO countries about the next step. Over the weekend, Pope Leo celebrated his 70th birthday at the Vatican. The first American-born pope received a birthday cake from the new U.S. ambassador to the Vatican. It came from the famous Chicago area restaurant chain Portillo's, since Pope Leo is from Chicago. Then the Pope appeared for his Sunday prayer in St. Peter's Square, where many of his followers held up signs reading "Happy Birthday" in different languages. Pope Leo thanked them, God, and his parents. And he spoke about how growing up in a Chicago household of both Cubs and White Sox fans prepared him for navigating global diplomacy. World leaders joined in wishing Leo a happy birthday, including Italy's leader, who called Leo's words reliable and solid in extremely complex times. More news still ahead, but first, thanks to our sponsor, Hiya Health. Back to school season always feels like a reset. New routines, busier mornings, and making sure my kid has what he needs to stay healthy. One thing that makes it easier? My 4-year-old takes his Hiya Children's vitamins and probiotics every single day, and he loves them. And with everyone heading back into classrooms and activities, I like knowing he's getting immune, energy, and brain-supporting nutrients each morning. And Hiya has zero sugar, zero junk. Just 15 essential vitamins and minerals, plus a blend of organic fruits and veggies. And are you tired of battling with your kids to eat their greens? Hiya now has Kids Daily Greens Plus Superfoods, a chocolate-flavored greens powder designed specifically for kids, packed with over 55 whole food ingredients to support brain power, development, and digestion. Just scoop, shake, and sip with milk or any non-dairy beverage for a delicious and nutritious boost your kids will actually enjoy. And we've worked out a special deal with Hiya for their best-selling children's vitamin. Receive 50% off your first order. To claim this deal, you must go to hiyahealth.com/newsworthy. This deal is not available on their regular website, so go to hiyahealth.com/newsworthy and get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults. Now, back to the news. President Trump's unprecedented police takeover in Washington, D.C. may have expired, but now he has a new city in his sights. He promised to send the National Guard to Memphis, Tennessee next. In the past, he spoke more about cities like Chicago or New Orleans. But Trump says Tennessee's Republican governor has been asking for the surge in Memphis, whereas the leaders in states like Illinois argue deployments undermine local authority and make tensions worse. Memphis's mayor also says he doesn't think sending in troops is the way to drive down crime, like the state's governor does, but that he'll still try to help make sure the effort works to strengthen the community. At this point, no word on when the surge will begin. Stay tuned. Thousands of major polluters may no longer have as much oversight. The EPA formally proposed ending longtime requirements for companies to collect and report their greenhouse gas emissions. It's part of a program that's been around for 15 years, collecting data about carbon dioxide, methane, and more from about 8,000 industrial facilities. But the new EPA administrator, Lee Zeldin, called the program, quote, nothing more than bureaucratic red tape that costs American businesses and manufacturing billions of dollars. But environmentalists, Democrats, and some Republicans condemned ending the reporting, saying it could jeopardize public health. Either way, the rule is not final just yet. It now goes into a public comment period. After that, the rule can be finalized, but legal challenges are expected. Google is facing a new lawsuit from the publisher of Rolling Stone, Billboard, Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, and more. Penske Media is actually the first major American news company to challenge Google over its artificial intelligence summaries that appear at the top of search results. The company says Google is creating some of those summaries by illegally using its reporting, and it's apparently driven down online traffic on the news sites. Google is already facing similar lawsuits from online education company Chegg and a small Arkansas newspaper. But the tech giant defends its AI overviews, saying they just help make search more helpful, creating more opportunities for content to get discovered. Either way, this sets up a fight over compensation in the AI era, and it seems likely that fight will end up in court. One of the most powerful labor unions in Hollywood has a new leader. SAG-AFTRA chose Sean Astin to take over for Fran Drescher as president. Astin starred in movies like Rudy, Goonies, and The Lord of the Rings. And now he's representing about 160,000 actors, announcers, broadcast journalists, dancers, hosts, DJs, and more. It comes as the union is preparing to enter negotiations next year for a new contract with the major studios. and a lot is going to be up for discussion. Since the entertainment industry is consolidating, productions are moving overseas, and artificial intelligence has been stirring a lot of new debate. But Aston says now is the time for optimism, and the alliance representing major studios says it looks forward to working with him. The 2025 Emmys celebrated some of the best of television last night, and there was a little history made along the way. For example, The Studio picked up more awards in a single Emmy cycle than any other comedy series ever has. It ended up winning 13 times last night, including for Best Comedy Series. Another winner who made history was Tremel Tillman, who got the Best Supporting Actor in a Drama Emmy for his role in Severance. He became the first Black actor to ever win in that category. 15-year-old Owen Cooper won Best Supporting Actor in a Limited Series for Adolescence, making him the youngest male winner of any acting Emmy ever. Also, The Pit won for Outstanding Drama Series, and the show's star, Noah Wyle, got his first Emmy for Lead Actor in a Drama. But all the winners were asked to keep their speeches short, no longer than 45 seconds. Emmys host Nate Bargatze tried to make them stick to it by starting the show with a $100,000 donation to the Boys and Girls Club, which he said he would take money away from every time an acceptance speech went over time. At one point, the amount dropped below zero. But Nate Bargatze and CBS pitched in, so the show ended with $350,000 to be donated. That's it for the main news, so now it's time for Money Monday, when we talk about one interesting money-related news story. But first, this episode is sponsored by Fatty 15. As I get older, I think more about my long-term health and how to keep my body feeling its best. I've tried fish oil before, but I never loved the flavor or the aftertaste, and that's why I'm glad I found Fatty 15. Fatty 15 is built around C15, the first essential fatty acid discovered in more than 90 years. Based on over 100 studies, it helps strengthen cells and slow biological aging at the cellular level. When our cells age, our whole body ages, and Fatty 15 works to keep them stronger for longer. The story behind it is fascinating, too. The co-founder discovered the benefits of C15 while working with the U.S. Navy to improve the health of aging dolphins. Now, this breakthrough is helping people, too. What I like most is how easy it is. One small, vegan-friendly capsule a day, no fillers, no flavors, no aftertaste. And knowing it's been clinically proven to improve markers like liver and heart health, sleep, and even joint function gives me peace of mind. Fatty 15 is on a mission to optimize your C15 levels to help you live healthier, longer. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/newsworthy and using our code newsworthy at checkout. Now back to Money Monday. Holiday shopping season is happening early this year, and already some patterns have started showing up. For example, Deloitte Consulting says shoppers are being more deliberate with their dollars in the face of rising costs. In other words, people are looking for discounts, promotions, or some alternate products like knockoffs. Overall sales are actually expected to rise from last year, just at a slower pace. Even those who haven't even thought about the holidays yet may have to go about their wish lists in a different way. One Gartner retail analyst told Axios, the average shopper is going to notice less supply, less variety of products, and in some cases, higher prices this holiday season. But when you should start shopping depends on who you ask. Some experts say it's a good idea to buy now before prices get higher. Others expect the best deals to roll out starting next month. Either way, you might get in the holiday spirit next time you go to the store. Seasonal decor items are already on display around the country. Thank you so much for joining us today and for your support of this show. We'll be back with even more news to know tomorrow. For now, have a great day.